उधर पाकिस्तान ने तालिबान से अपनी दोस्ती निभाने के लिए अमेरिका को बड़ा झटका दिया है। एक इंटरव्यू के दौरान इमरान खान ने अमेरिका को दो टूक जवाब दिया। क्या है पूरा मामला, इस रिपोर्ट में देखिए।
पाकिस्तान ने अपने दोस्त तालिबान के लिए अमेरिका का एक बड़ा प्रस्ताव ठुकरा दिया है। पाकिस्तान के वजीर आजम इमरान खान ने अमेरिका को दो टूक जवाब देते हुए कहा कि वो अपनी जमीन में CIA को किलर ड्रोन का अड्डा नहीं बनने देंगे। इमरान खान ने ये बात एक इंटरव्यू के दौरान कही। इमरान खान ने कहा है कि अमेरिका को अपनी जमीन से तालिबान या इस्लामिक स्टेट पर वो हमले नहीं करने देंगे। इमरान खान ने ये बात ऐसे वक्त कही है जब अफगानिस्तान से अमेरिकी सैनिकों की वापसी के बीच फिर से तालिबानी आतंकियों ने हमले तेज कर दिए हैं। दरअसल अमेरिका ने इमरान खान से अनुरोध किया था कि वो पाकिस्तान के बलूचिस्तान सूबे में उसे एक सीक्रेट एयरबेस मुहैया कराएं, क्योंकि इस एयरबेस से अमेरिकी खुफिया एजेंसी CIA अफगानिस्तान में सीक्रेट ड्रोन मिशन को अंजाम देने वाली थी। इसके एवज में अमेरिका ने पाकिस्तान को रोकी गई आर्थिक मदद फिर से शुरू करने का लालच भी दिया था। लेकिन इमरान खान ने अपने दोस्त तालिबान को बचाने के लिए अमेरिका के इस ऑफर को ठुकरा दिया। हाल ही में पाकिस्तान के विदेश मंत्री शाह महमूद कुरैशी ने भी साफ कर दिया था कि पाकिस्तान अमेरिका को न तो अपनी जमीन पर सैन्य बेस बनाने देगा और न ही पाकिस्तान में ड्रोन हमले करने देगा।
US military is finally withdrawn from Afghanistan after 20 years. Are you happy about that?
Happy in one way because there was never going to be any military solution in Afghanistan. Anxious that they are leaving. Without a political settlement, there's a possibility of civil war.
What would a political settlement look like?
A political settlement in Afghanistan would mean a sort of a coalition government, a government from the Taliban side and the other side. There is no other solution.
Do you think the Americans made a mistake by saying they're getting out of ISIS?
Difficult, they have got themselves in such a big mess. They had to give some sort of time frame. But at the moment they gave a time frame, Taliban would have considered that a victory.
How do you feel about the prospect of the Taliban effectively controlling Afghanistan? Are you happy to welcome them into the community of nations?
As far as Pakistan is concerned, whoever represents the people of Afghanistan, we will deal with them.
But what if they're not democratically elected? That's not through elections. They've done it through brute force. And does it not concern you on some level that this group of people is accumulating power right next door to you?
Look, I'm not a spokesman for Taliban. For me to say, what they are doing or what they shouldn't be doing is pointless right now. In case Taliban go for an all-out victory, there is going to be incredible amount of bloodshed. And let me tell you, the country that is going to suffer the most after Afghanistan is going to be Pakistan.
Will you allow the American government to have CIA here in Afghanistan to conduct cross-border counter-terrorism missions against Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or the Taliban?
Absolutely not. There's no way we're going to allow any bases, any sort of action from Pakistani territory into Afghanistan. Absolutely not. Pakistan suffered 70,000 casualties, more than any other country, by joining the American war. We will be partners in peace, not in conflict.
Have you spoken to Joe Biden since he took office?
No, I haven't.
Is there a reason?
No, whenever he has time, he can speak to me. But at the moment, clearly, he has other priorities.
What would you say to him if you had a meeting?
You see, the US has a big responsibility as the most powerful nation in the world. They have this huge responsibility in the subcontinent. This is almost 1.4 billion people living in the subcontinent. We are held hostage. One dispute in Kashmir, a disputed territory, according to the United Nations Security Council resolutions, there should have been a plebiscite for the people of Kashmir to decide about their own future. That has never taken place. It's frustrating. Over 100,000 Kashmiris have died in this freedom struggle. And it can easily, if the Americans have the resolve, the will, this can be sorted out.
Let's talk about a relationship that many people are concerned about. How are your current relations with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
When I became the Prime Minister, I reached out to him immediately. I said, you come one step towards us, we'll come two towards you. On television, I said this. And I said that, my main concern, my main reason for coming into politics was to eradicate poverty in Pakistan, make it a welfare state. This is why I came, and secondly, rule of law. These were my two slogans, make Pakistan a welfare state, rule of law in Pakistan. And you can only, the best way to eradicate poverty, not just in Pakistan, in India as well, is to trade with each other. India is a huge market. Pakistan is a market of 220 million people. But it's a door to Central Asia and to the energy corridor, which India is energy short. So we would mutually benefit each other. So I reached out, but I realized that there's, I was up against an ideology. You see, Narendra Modi is RSS. RSS is the party which was formed in the 20s, which idealized the Nazis. You can even Google it. The founding fathers looked up to Hitler and the Nazis and racial purity and all that sort of that ideology. And so we came up, and my government came up against this brick wall. We couldn't go through and we couldn't understand in the beginning. And then it gradually came out when the steps they took in Kashmir. Unilaterally, they took away Kashmir statehood in 2019, August 5th, 2019. And so since then, we have there's a freeze on our relationship. We cannot start talks until they go back, they take back the steps they took on 5th August 2019 when they unilaterally took away the statehood of Kashmir.
I want to ask you about something you talked about on live television. It was a very serious and painful issue. You were asked about the epidemic of sexual violence and rape in Pakistan. And you acknowledged the seriousness of the problem, and you talked about Pakistan's strict laws. You were also quoted as saying that the practice of women wearing veils, quote, is to stop temptation. Not every man has willpower, you said. If you keep increasing vulgarity, it will have consequences. This created, as you know, a bit of an uproar, and you were accused of rape victim blaming. How do you respond to that?
It is such nonsense. What was I saying? I said that the fastest, the crime, when I first came into power, I asked the heads of police, that what is, the crime figures. The crime that was rising the fastest was sex crime. Sex crime was not just rape, it was child abuse. Child abuse was really what really shocked me. And the disturbing thing was that barely 1% got reported. The families of the victims, whether they were girls or whether they were children who were being abused, were so embarrassed that they would not report it.